Hello from Lethbridge. I am Barbara Ramp and I work at the Lethbridge Public Library. Today I'm going to look at the differences and the similarities between Microsoft's Project Manager software and Project Libre, a free software package you can download from the web. I chose Project Libre as a comparator because it markets itself as a competitive alternative to Microsoft Project. And I'll also share my perspective on using project management tools to get work done. But I want to start with a huge thank you to Nicole and Anton. They have been delightful to work with on this group presentation, and when it became clear that I wasn't going to be able to come to the conference, they made it possible for me to give my part of the presentation remotely. So here I am today in virtual form. So my apologies for not being able to join you in person. Although I'm sure Nicole and Anton can answer on-the-spot questions, please feel free to contact me directly. My contact information is at the end of the presentation. The full presentation, including this portion, will also be available online on the ALC website with my script in the speaker's notes. Also, a more extensive bibliography, including online resources, can be found in the speaker's notes. I'm an accidental project manager. I started working in a library as a teenager, and I've worked in children's, adult, and circulation departments. I even did a brief stint in tech services. My workplaces have included 2 long-term employments at 2 mid-sized libraries, 2 large public libraries, and 2 university libraries. The 2 in Peterborough, Ontario, and the other 2 here in Lethbridge, Alberta. In more or less a traditional role as a librarian, my work projects, temporary endeavors such as trial programs or collections or the introduction of a new piece of technology, involved that work that was fitted in and around the normal workload. Like many librarians at the time, I did not consciously design my approach to be systematic. I had a plan, or the team I was working with had a plan, but most of the time the project, most of the time the project was eventually finished. Does this sound remotely familiar? I am assuming at least some of you are nodding and perhaps even smiling at this point. In addition, as might become evident as I tell my own story, I don't find it easy to use many of the tools of project management, but I am learning to work through the challenge because they can be very useful. And by the end of this part of my presentation, my hope is that you will know why spending an hour learning about project management now and potentially for more hours in the future could be beneficial, whether it would be a good idea for you to take a project management course or to teach yourself how to use project managed tools, and where to find the tools used by project managers. Can I or you do project management systematically using the tools now associated with project management? In short, yes. If you have strong Microsoft Excel or similar skills, or if you are pretty good at teaching yourself using a book or an online resource like YouTube, or if you can take the time to familiarize yourself with the tools, then you may actually not need a course and you can teach yourself. My educational background includes an undergrad degree in English and Cultural Studies, and that has shaped my approach to the library world. I've always wondered if, way back in 1988, my statistics prof in library science, Roma Harris, might have gifted me the course. The world of charting and quantitative data does not always come easy to me. So I'm trying to make the tools and format of project management easy and desirable to try and potentially to use for anyone interested, whether you are an Excel ace or whether you take off your socks and shoes to wade into numbers over 10, or whether you fall in between these 2 poles. So how did I become an accidental project manager? My library went through a significant reorganization and I was popped into the role of project manager. I really didn't have a clue what a project manager was and what it entailed, so I did some research, like every good librarian, and looked at the tools of the project manager trade, computer software. How do you think I did? Well, it's a good thing that a worthwhile course became available because I needed the help to start learning how to be a project manager, how to use project management software, and why and when to use it. And what do I mean by this? What is the difference between doing a project and managing a project? Let's jump into talking about projects and the evolution of my thinking about project, and then we'll come back to the tools. We all do projects, at work, at home, but usually in an informal way, much as I would have in the past fitted projects in and around routine work. As an easy example, let me tell you how we added raised garden beds to our family garden. It's spring. You look at your yard and think, it's time we finally added those raised beds I've been thinking about for years. You get out a piece of paper and you draw a space that resembles your yard. You mark the things that cannot be changed or you don't want to change. You sketch where you want the raised beds. You then head out to the yard and measure the space. You add that information to your drawing, and then you create your supply list, wood, nails, or brackets or something like that. You check websites for approximate costs. You match these to what you want in a raised bed. Do your dreams fit into your gardening budget? Now that you know approximately how much things cost? What's your available time? Say that this is your summer vacation project and you have 2 weeks. I think you get the idea. At this point, at home, we just start in. Significant points in this process. The raised beds project was only on paper for years, and then was an empty box for 1 year, and then finally last year we put up together a functioning raised bed. Project management tools could have made this a very different story. So let's look at the project management charter and project management software as effective tools for self-organization and project organization. They are tools to organize your thoughts. They help you get to the heart of what needs to be accomplished, how to get things accomplished, and how to know when they have been accomplished. You will want to find the right project management charter and software for you and your organization. There are many examples on the net. I'm going to look at Microsoft Project 2010, and you'll remember the Project Libre, the free software that markets itself as a competitive alternative to Microsoft Project. I hope to be looking at what will be most useful for people working in a library of any size. So, remember that garden plan? This is a PERT chart using free software, Project Libre. PERT, or Program Evaluation Review Technique, stands for the process of charting the things that must happen to complete the project and figuring out the best order for doing them. Before software, this was the stage at which I got out index cards and wrote out each complete task on a card and used a big table to sort out and organize the tasks. And here is the Microsoft Project PERT chart. It is easy to use. Those boxes are virtual index cards. Each represents a task and gives an amount of time to do the task. The lines between them give relationships to the tasks. The diagram also shows the people responsible for getting the task done. The software ensures that you can tell at a glance if people are available to do the tasks in the best or most efficient order. In the course, it was recommended that we start here and then refine and correct the process using the Gantt chart. So, take note. MS Project, much prettier, but much more expensive than Project Libra. If you take the project management course through NATE, the course costs about $220 per course. There are actually 12 courses in the certification, but that includes the price of a copy of the software, which is nice to have. And in this case, the Microsoft project is definitely easier to use. As yet, I haven't been able to figure out if you can start with a PERT chart in Project Libra. So we're still using the Microsoft project. Using the Microsoft PERT chart, Project PERT chart, is very much like using the index cards, remember? And the information from those the PERT chart actually populates the Gantt chart. Or if you start with the Gantt chart, its information populates the PERT chart. By contrast, in Project Libra, to this point, I've only been able to populate the Gantt chart to the PERT chart. The default view in Microsoft Project is the template for a Gantt chart. And this on the slide, of course, is a Gantt chart. Like the PERT chart, this chart illustrates the start and finish dates and shows dependency, the relationship between tasks or activities. To go with my gardening example, you have to buy soil and compost before you can fill the raised bed and put in the new plants. Both Microsoft Project software and Project Libra allow you to assign the people to tasks, track how much time a person can afford to spend on a task, and how long it takes to accomplish the task. And you can also turn this information into a chart. I discovered this particular functionality using Project Libra and then looked for the same functionality in Microsoft Project. I tried to use the Gantt chart a long time before I took the project management courses with NATE. The library had a copy of Project 2010 software, which I put onto my desktop. I also eventually printed out the Project Management Quick Reference Guide for Project 2010 and watched the training videos that Microsoft makes available online. But the Project Management 2010 tutorial is introduced in this way. Go beyond Excel for project management. Beyond Excel? I hope there's at least someone else in the room thinking, beyond Excel? I haven't gotten to Excel yet. And this is where the software started making sense to me. There are people in my organization and yours who will be able to look at PERT charts or Gantt charts and understand them intuitively. But for me, it's the calendar that works best first. In my gardening example, it quickly tells me that if I have guesstimated the duration of each task correctly, my 2-week project will take 18.5 days. If it doesn't rain, if a family member doesn't get sick, etc. And this is the Project Libra Gantt chart. Very quick and very easy to use. This is a look at all of the tabs that are available with Project Libra. I did purchase a book called Project Libra Tutorial for $6.99, and I also used YouTube to learn how to use the program. I've included a few links in the bibliography. And remember, the nice thing is that you can try this software out at no cost to see if it will actually help you with project management. Just like in Microsoft Project 2010, with Project Libra, you can assign tasks to people. The people in this case are A, B, C, and D, and resources to people. And you can map the project using the calendar. So if you know that Jane can spend 20% of her working time on the project, you can approximate how much she can contribute to the project. For me, the ongoing trick is to understand that this kind of planning takes quite a lot of time to do well. The input takes time, and quality input is needed for quality results. The software cannot do that part for you. But at the end of the day, you will have a good grasp of what the project entails, and with this software, plus the project charter, you and the people you are reporting to and working with should know what to expect as an end product and what is needed to accomplish what is expected. Somewhat simplistic, but this is the difference between managing a project and doing a project, which moves us quite nicely to the project charter. At Lethbridge Public Library, we have started using project charters, although the process is still in its infancy. My personal experience so far is that the process of completing the project charter and making a Gantt chart forces me to define what I am to do and helps me to find and keep a focus. There are many project charter templates out there, all of them with the basics to control the project, because control is the key to the successful completion of the project. Remember that a project charter is usually an internal document. So also decide how fussy you want to be. Is point form appropriate in this context? Do you want a 10-page document or a 2-page one? And always remember what the purpose of the project charter is. Not to construct a perfect charter, but to get a project done and done well. So look at some different templates, online templates, and modify what exists out there until it works for you and your organization. Now we get to the impact of the course. After taking the project management course, I found that using the tools of project management, it's easier to find my work, to stay focused on the tasks at hand. I always have a number of projects at various stages on the go, and I need to know when the task will be done and how it fits into other work. Along with the course, there is a lot of other project management information out there, though I did find that I had to listen to some very poor presentations to get good information. So to conclude, in the time available, I have given you a brief look at 2 potential project management tools with some indications of how they might be good choices, depending on the needs of your library. I think most people would be able to work with existing project management software without a formal course, though such a course could help those with a less intuitive grasp of charting. Depending on the needs of your library, usually the free software will be the most useful, at least as a first step, unless there's a time constraint on the learning curve. And in that case, the formal coursework and the excellent documentation that comes with Microsoft Project makes more sense. I hope that this information will help if you are considering the use of project management tools in your library or perhaps in your life. There is actually a book on how to plan a wedding using Project Libra. It's been a pleasure putting this portion of the presentation together for you. I look forward to seeing any comments or questions you would like to share. Have a good day.